What up, it's your boy UAG back with another video, and in this video we're going to be taking a closer look, a deep dive if you will, into the Arcade1up Simpsons arcade cabinet. Yes, I am the first one on YouTube with a review, so I felt like we really needed to get into it, and let's get into it right now. So let's start talking off with the history of this cabinet. This game came out in 1991 from the publisher Konami, and it was an instant hit. It was a top 3 cabinet that year. Also, that's the same year of the WWF WrestleFest. This game hasn't been around in the limelight for a while. The last time it was ported out to Xbox and PlayStation in February of 2012. Been removed from there for a while, but if you have it on your, the stores, you could probably still play it as of that. The other ports to this was on the computer, the Commodore and MS-DOS back in 1991, and it did have early iterations on phones. It was on the BlackBerry in 2009 and Apple, and later on Windows phones back in 2010. This is one of the staples in the beat 'em up franchise. People love this game. You can't say enough about it. People really love this title, and that's why it was highly anticipated from the community. We wanted this game. A second game in the lineup, Simpsons Bowling. So this game, again, from Konami, came out in 2000. It was limited, and it was pretty cool. I didn't hear a lot about this game. I didn't see it too much in the wild. I've came across it once or twice, but not many. This is an arcade cabinet that is really cool. If you see this game, the people in the background, they were all wearing the outfits that they wore in the episode Team Homer. That episode aired in January 6th of 1996, and so they pulled that out of there. All of the voice characters are actual characters from the show. They didn't have voice actors that just pretended to be them, so that's really damn awesome. This has never received a port to any home consoles, so if you haven't played it in the home arcade scene, this is the closest thing that you're gonna get to it, and they did a really damn great job. A lot of the on and off is the bowling on it, the bowling is not on it, was due to the difficulties of getting this to run properly. And emulation of this is not something easy to pull off. You can ask members of the community who have this on their naughty sticks, the CoinOps X builds, and it just stutters and whatnot. You can get this to run pretty smoothly with a powerful PC. However, the emulation is not 100% arcade accurate, because you do not have the voiceovers on there. I don't know what might have transpired and why we can't get that done. But the cool thing about what Arcade1up did in this particular title, they did not try to rewrite history. They left everything as is. So some of the things may have been controversial, like throwing Maggie down a slippery bowling alley to knock down some pins. Some people might frown upon that, but they have it in there, so that's fucking awesome. On top of that, the Apu character seems to be a little bit controversial. I know in quite recent times they've even been talking about writing him off because it's so stereotypical. However, this is a part of the history of The Simpsons, and they did not try to rewrite that. They kept the character in its true form with his one-time liners and stuff like that. They're all in the game. So where you have it, that. Now, what's the downfall of this particular title is that it's so difficult to run that they weren't able to get leaderboards on here because of the difficulty of running it. On top of that, we don't have any online gameplay to play amongst others. So I'm hoping, if they do rehash this particular title, that later down the line with the advance of technology, that they will be able to get that up and running and online. But as of right now, it's a feat to have. You have this in your home, so there's that. Now, this is running off the same chipset as the Big Buck Hunter, which is pretty cool. That's one of the more beefier PCB boards. They have that running. So we're going to have a look at that PCB board. We're going to look at the encoder, and there we'll have it. So you can see on top, that's the TV connector. You can see all the little idiosyncrasies. There goes the light, and right next to it, the SD card slot. And you have your Wi-Fi connection antenna, and we have the power micro USB right next to it. So we seeing the evolution. We have Ethernet port. Power, that's the headphone jack next to it. Right next to that is a USB power cord. It says that it's been QC'd. That's the first time I start seeing this on the products. So we have it, and look how big that heatsink plate is. We've definitely have moved up in terms of the technology. This, again, this is not a new one. This is the same one that's running off of the Big Buck Hunter, but it's interesting to say the least. And just for comparison, we're going to look at the OG PCB board of the Mortal Kombat. Look how the big difference is. You have the big connection for the control deck. We'll switch that. We have the monitor and the sound, and look how small the chipset is with the tiny heatsink. It's the evolution has definitely come a long way. So a lot of you guys asked in the review, they want to see a breakdown. So this is the control deck, and we have the trackball right there. Nothing special. I believe that's the same one we had in the Tempest. The square gates on the joysticks there. But what's more importantly is that this encoder board is the exact same encoder board that you would see in the Turtles, the X-Men, and as well as the NBA Jam. Now, it doesn't have all the buttons there, the pinouts, because it's a 2-button game, not a 3-button game. But you could see where they're missing. So if add those, it would be on there. So this is just for modeling purposes. If you wanted to swap or have multiple games and with one control deck, it is a possibility to do so. So one of the cool things I wanted to show you here is that this is the arcade ROM, and you can do this in the arcade. So this is pretty awesome. You have the ability, if you keep on scrolling through the name selections, if you do it enough times, you'll have the ability to play as Grandpa. Look, so you just got to scroll through the select screen for a few times there, but eventually that will unlock Grandpa and you can play with him. So I wanted to show you something here as well in terms of the game here. And when you go online, you select your player on who you want to be. I'm going to go ahead and select Marge, I believe, or it's Homer. I'm not 100% sure, but I believe it's going to be Homer. Nope, it's Marge. So I have Marge here. I'm going to start the game, and I just want you to see something here. When you start with Marge, you're playing the game, and everything's hunky-dory. I'm going to go ahead and start the game. But this is the thing that I don't know if it's a limitation on the particular game or if it's something in terms of the ROM, how they use the ROM. But when you were in the arcade playing, you might get tired or of a particular individual, and you're like, what do? I want to switch that player up. Well, unfortunately, you do not have the ability to do so. You are locked with that player for that online session. So if you start the game with Marge and you continue, you're going to continue with Marge. You can try to play player 2, 3, or 4, but it's not going to unlock the other players, which is a bit upsetting because, when you were in the arcade, you would get like, oh man, I'm getting my ass whooped with Marge. Let me switch over to Homer. I think that he'll be better suited for this particular, boss. Or you just want to see, you're a fan of the characters, and you want to hear all the other characters and see their movements and stuff like that. And you would, switch up, but you don't have the capability of doing that. And that is really limiting your experience as a player. I mean, we already have the limitations that only one player can play per online session. Now you're also limiting yourself with what player you're playing with online. You start with Bart, you're ending with Bart. You start with Maggie, Lisa, or Marge, or Homer. That's your limitation. Let me know in the comment section down below. Am I being too, picky about this, or should this not even bother me? And really quickly here, I wanted you to see the settings for not just for the game, but the universal settings. So you have the network, so you could select what network you're playing with, factory reset. You can do the sound effects on and off, so that will be throughout the whole UI. Check for updates and go back to screen. That's all on here. So guys, that's the deep dive into the Arcade1up Simpsons. We went over some of the features there, some of the special hidden things that you could do on Simpsons Bowling. We looked at the PCB board and the Encoder board, and we saw some of the limitations of the online gameplay. You asked for that, so I brought it to you. With that being said, guys, if you like this kind of content, why don't you hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up on the way out. Very important to do that. And as well, hit that bell notification so you'll be the first to know when the next thing drops, like maybe KI. Who knows? With that being said, guys, thank you so much for stopping by. And as always, keep gaming.